When I talk about library administration, I'm going to focus mostly on library director, dean, or university library positions. Academic libraries have one of those three as their chief administrative role, and they are mostly the same thing. But in academia, titles matter, and generally a dean position carries the most prestige and entree into university administration. The library dean's role can usually be divided into two parts: external to the library and internal to the library. The dean's job externally is to be an advocate for the library. This involves talking up and selling the library to university administration, who may not have used the library in years and think they know what the library does. By highlighting the current and cutting edge work of the library dean can bring positive attention to the library, create new users, and keep the campus informed of the great work the library is doing. Now, this last part is especially important when it comes to the budget. The library dean may also have to fundraise and meet with donors, help recruit students, and apply for and secure grants and external funding. And there is no shortage of university meetings to attend and reports to write. Internally, the dean manages the budget, personnel, library policy, and is responsible for basically anything and everything that happens in the library. The budget is what causes every library dean the most worry. In the current state of higher education, most library budgets are flat or increasing by a small percentage. A flat budget, or one with only small increases, turns into a budget cut within a few years. Subscription resources like databases and journals have a yearly cost inflation of somewhere between 5 and 7%. Without these regular inflationary increases, a library will have to take money from other areas of the budget or cut resources. There are only so many resources an academic library can cut before it gets to resources that either are so heavily used they cannot be cut, or resources that are required for accreditation of various programs and can also not be cut. And this is part of what makes library advocacy such an important part of a library dean's job. The president, provost, and other university budget administrators need to understand how a library budget works, which is very different from every other unit on campus, and what the library's needs are. Even with the regular inflationary increases, the library budget will never match the potential services the library could offer to its users. Unless an academic library was built in the past few years, its space will not match current user wants and needs. As circulation numbers go down and more electronic material fills the collection, the need for space for the collection becomes less important, while space for student silent study, collaborative areas, a makerspace, one-stop information area, and a whole host of cutting-edge technology like podcast room and digital media centers become more important. These renovations and redesigns cost money. Without a large donor, the library has a hard time finding the money. And all of this is before we have even talked about salaries and the equipment and professional development needs of librarians and library staff. This is why smart budget management is important for a library dean. While the budget might be the biggest worry, personnel might be the biggest headache. And I say that in the most loving way possible. Managing people is extremely difficult, and that is what makes it so rewarding. Personnel management might include making sure a tenure-track librarian receives tenure, reorganizing and creating new job descriptions and duties for a department, mediating conflict between two or more people, helping someone with serious mental or physical health problems, and making sure the library is hiring the right people for the right jobs. This is only a fraction of personnel management. Library deans are asked to do a lot, and much has been written and talked about the library workplace and how to make it better and healthier. Burnout, mental health issues, and dysfunctional cultures in the library workplace have not been discussed much in the past, but they are currently getting more and more attention. It seems that many libraries have issues around administration and culture and working environment. This means a library dean is expected to advocate for the library, build relationships across campus, deftly manage a budget, handle a wide spectrum of personnel issues, build relationships in the library, and promote a positive work culture that is supportive and encouraging. That's a lot for one person, which makes the administrative team, associate deans, and department heads so important. It can also lead to a high rate of turnover and burnout in library administrators. Now, one way to combat all of this is for librarians and library staff to take more ownership of problems in the workplace and responsibility to correct them. Perhaps most importantly, library deans must have a vision for not just their library, but the profession as a whole. This vision is critical to not just moving the library forward, but for generating a shared sense of meaning among the librarians and library staff. Over and over again, people who work in academic libraries declare that vision is one of the most important qualities of a library dean. But it seems, sadly, to be a skill only a few leaders have. Let's end this video on library administration here.